All right, if you look right here at verse 47, this is Luke 23:47. It says, "Now when the centurion saw what happened, he began praising God, saying, 'Certainly this man was innocent.' And all the crowds who came together at the spectacle, when they observed what happened, began to return, beating their breasts. And all his acquaintances and the women who accompanied him from Galilee were standing at the distance seeing these things." So if this centurion, this Roman, is saying that he's innocent and he's praising God, it's kind of reminiscent of Jonah, chapter 1, when the people on the boat to Tarshish had started submitting to God that because the storm, so the centurion, you see right here, it says it was the 6th hour, that means high noon. Darkness fell over the whole land until the 9th hour. So all through the afternoon, at the highest point of the day, it was dark because the sun was obscured and the veil of the temple was torn in two. And that's the end of the separation caused by the golden calf incident and the coming of the Lord. So Matthew ran amok with all this. That's why I don't think Matthew was written before Luke, because Luke would have had seen these things happen in Matthew and known about them and known that he was there, and then decided that didn't happen. That doesn't make any sense. So Luke was written before Matthew. But Matthew was trying to explain something. Matthew was trying to show how Jesus was the temple. So if you think about it, that's, if we go to Revelation, that's the resurrection, the first resurrection, because Matthew even talks about the first resurrection. So we realize that to Matthew, Jesus was the temple, Jesus was Israel, Jesus was the kit and caboodle. So because of that, we know that in Revelation, this resurrection comes at the day of the Lord when the temple was destroyed. So when the temple was destroyed, that marks the resurrection. So this is what Paul is talking about in 1 Thessalonians 4, that first the dead will be raised. So Paul, if you look at Acts 28 and 30, it says Paul lived there for 2 years. Well, what's so remarkable about him talking to the Gentiles for 2 years? Because he didn't live that long of a life. So he died in Rome, or, wherever about, he caused a dispute among the Jews there, and he died in Rome. So if, he's talking about first the dead will be raised, he's including his own self. So he's talking, to all these grown men in the 30s or 40s or whatever, in Corinth and all, he's writing to them saying in 1 Corinthians 15 that the dead will be raised. So he's saying, all these old men will die before 70 AD, and then they'll be raised. So when Matthew says that the dead were raised, when the temple was raised, reborn, the new church, consisting of the believers, so that was in, Peter, he says, oh, I'm writing to the 12 tribes, and then you see the 144,000. And those are the saints precluded from the first death. So the first resurrection already happened, meaning we're in the millennium. And those that living, Paul makes a distinction in 1 Thessalonians 4:17 that they're going to have a different experience. They're going to live. So we see Satan, let loose for one last time, and then the final judgment of everyone living and dead. But that's a different kind of coming. That's the final judgment. That's not the Armageddon. The Armageddon is the day of the Lord. And it began with the Pentecost when Jesus first came and started preaching the light to the apostles, as the Holy Spirit. And then it went on from there till there was only 144,000 elect of the 12 tribes, which included proselytes. So, what do we have here? So, back to Luke 23, it says, and a man named Joseph,